Okay, so here we go with a garter tab cast on. So I'm just going to be using some DK weight just for demonstration purposes, just so it'll be nice and clear for you to see what I'm doing. I've got here, you can see I've got a tapestry needle threaded with just a little length of some fingering weight yarn, and I'll show you what I'm going to do with that in a second. So to start off our cast on, we need to cast on 3 stitches, and I just do this using long tail. So you just want a little bit, it's only 3 stitches, so just put, just have a tail of a little bit. And then cast on 3 stitches. So I always cast on my long tail starting with a stitch that is created just by putting the needle under the yarn like this. So that's my first stitch, 2, 3, and I've got 3 stitches there. Now what I'm going to do now is make the sort of final stage of this cast on easier by taking a tapestry needle with a yarn that's much thinner than the yarn that you're working with. So in my instance, I've got a fingering weight here with a DK, and use a yarn that contrasts really well like that, so you'll be able to see it. And I'm just going to thread it through these 3 stitches, so do it one at a time if you want to. So a bit like a lifeline, I'm going to thread it through those 3 stitches, okay? And then you can just take the needle out. So we've got the yarn in there, and now just ignore that. And I'm going to knit 7 rows. So just back and forth. So that's 1. 2, and I'll carry on until I've got 7. That's 6, and then 7. Okay, so now don't turn your work. So I've just entered the row there. We're not going to turn it. What we're going to do is rotate it 90 degrees. And then if you look at your little garter tab that you've created, you'll see there's 3 garter ridges. And what we're going to do is pick up a stitch at the end of each of these 3 garter ridges. And the way that I like to do it is, if you look right on the very edge here, can you see these very end loops of yarn here? I won't call them stitches as such, because they're just right at the end of the garter, and it's that I'm going to pick up and knit. So just pop your needle underneath, wrap your yarn around. Now you might find this tricky to pull that through. If you do, you can just use your other needle to lift that stitch over like that. So 1, there's the next one, 2, oops, split that one, there we go, that's 2, and then that's the 3rd one there. They can be a little bit tight, so that's why lifting them over like that can be helpful. So that's the 3 we've picked up along the long edge. We're now going to kind of turn it again by another 90 degrees, because what we need to now do is pick up 3 stitches along the cast on edge. Now this is I think can be the trickiest part, so that's why I've put in that little lifeline of yarn. And if we sort of pull apart our work a little bit, just sort of lift it up, can you see where the yarn, there we go, can you see how that purple yarn goes underneath 3 stitches? Let me get my other needle and you can see. Can you see it running underneath those stitches? So there's 1, 2, 3 here. And that's where we're going to pick up. So find that first sort of leg there where the yarn is running underneath. It'll look like the stitch is sort of twisted. That doesn't really matter, because all we're doing is picking up stitches. We're not knitting as such, we're just picking up stitches along that edge. So I've put my needle under there like I did before, wrap it around, and again I'm going to use my other double point. You know, don't struggle, just use the tools that you've got and it makes it much easier. So here's the second one, needle underneath. It can be a bit tight, just wiggle it underneath and you'll do it. Lift it over, and then the third one can be the kind of trickiest, but if you look again, can you see that's the other side of the yarn? It's coming underneath this last little stitch there it is, look. So get that last little one, don't split it. There we go. Wrap it around, and then again I just use the other end of my needle. And this is the sort of tightest one for me, but just do it, take your time. There we go, and then just pull that tight and then pull it over. And now you can pull out that lifeline if you like. And what that leaves you with now is a little bit of fabric under your needle. And we've got 9 stitches here. So we started with 3, we picked up 3 along the long edge, we picked up 3 along that bottom edge, and that's our garter tab completed and ready to start knitting your shawl.